Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. Allincrypto here, and today we are going to be talking about Cardano. And the main message that I really want to deliver in this video is actually looking at what Cardano really is and what it's trying to do and the problems that it's trying to solve. This is something I feel is largely misunderstood. And you guys know that we are fans of many different crypto projects that all have their own different features and unique sort of set of capabilities and different ideologies and all sorts of things surrounding them. But we continue to not only support Cardano and wish it well from a kind of content point of view, and somewhat champion it in many regards. We also actually invest in it. Now, Cardano is not my largest position. It's not my smallest, but it is a part of my portfolio. And it's a part of my portfolio for very different reasons than many of the others. I honestly believe, and we continue to say this, and the clip that we're going to be playing of Charles Hoskinson himself actually talking about this is going to sort of reiterate it, that Cardano is the sort of sun, that's not the right word to call it, but the next step from Bitcoin, okay? Bitcoin came about and essentially said, look, we don't like the traditional financial systems. We don't like the intermediaries. We think they're corrupt. Let's try and create an alternative store of value and monetary system. And then you had Bitcoin that was really designed just to be peer-to-peer. We know today with BitVM and other things that they're trying to do more with it. And actually, maybe that's a credit to a lot of the smart contracts layer ones that came about after Bitcoin, having that foresight. And actually, a lot of the Bitcoin community is now moving towards that direction. But Cardano came out of Ethereum. We all know Ethereum, like whether you don't like Ethereum or not, you know, Ethereum and Vitalik are and still are pioneers in the space. But Cardano came out and essentially said, look, let's add to this vision. Let's create a operating system where you can do far more. Not only can you do peer-to-peer transactions, but you can do contracts, which mean you can do things like identity, finance, all these other things, tokenization, you know, and it's done that with the same kind of ethos, probably in one of the purest fashions of you know, holding up decentralization and fairness and, you know, moving away from totalitarian sort of authorities. It's done that in the most Bitcoin-esque way possible. Yes, it's used proof of stake. And we think Cardano has probably one of the best, if not the best, proof of stake consensus mechanism. But it's really the next step, the evolution of blockchain. And that's why we continue to back it. And we don't necessarily invest in Cardano because we think all the institutions are going to use it. It's more due to the fact that we can see organic growth for it like we did with Bitcoin. There's a real need for a system that exists outside the system. And we're seeing a lot of blockchains, a lot of distributed ledgers actually look to align with the system, whereas Cardano, okay, it may have to be compliant in certain areas, and there's ways we can deal with this with the Tyler Prism and things like Midnight and other such things. But it's really trying to be a system that's by the people, for the people, to benefit the people. And what I want to do, we've got a number of things to do in this video. We are going to be playing a clip of Charles Hoskinson, an old clip where he was on Lex Fridman, and Lex asked him, what is Cardano? And his response was nothing short of inspiring and really backs up a lot of the kind of views that we have on ADA and the understanding that we have of it. So we will be looking at that. We've got a number of other things. You know, Cardano's doing very well. Right now, it's currently top in terms of development activity. That's something. Not bad for a ghost chain. It overtook Polkadot and Kusama, which we're also fans of. And of course, you can see Adira there, which we like, in the fourth spot. All for different reasons, by the way. And obviously there is overlap there. But it's essentially number one in terms of development. And you got to remember, Kusama and Polkadot share the same development pool. Also in terms of wallets and things like this, we're seeing real upticks. And very interestingly, actually, the other day, it was on CNBC's Crypto World. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano. You know, I think Cardano is going to do very well eventually. Before I dive into everything that we're going to cover in this video, I just want to give a massive shout out to the new delegators and the old delegators for the Allincrypto stake pool. ALLIN is the ticker. Guys, we provide daily content. Pretty much, we're constantly covering Cardano. And if you guys want to support that, support what we're doing, a great way to do that. It doesn't cost you anything. In fact, it benefits you in terms of staking because you get rewards. We actually have lower margin than most of the pools out there, and we mint blocks consistently. You know, you won't miss a block. You'll get your rewards paid out for a lower fee. please do consider coming and joining the All-In stake pool. I would like to get this to one of the larger pools. That's the vision eventually. And we're committed to doing that. And obviously, we've been here for 2 years and plan on being here for the next 100 or however many years it ends up being, probably until somebody else takes it over from me. But what I want to do, guys, is actually go back, start with Charles Hoskinson explaining to Lex Friedman what Cardano is and what it's trying to do. And then we'll take it from there.
You know, I always term Cardano as like a FOSS, a financial operating system, and nobody likes it, and everybody picks on me for using that term. But basically, the idea is that, you know, the world runs on systems, especially the financial world. You have, you know, the BIS and SWIFT and all this other stuff, and these protocols allow you to move value around and represent things like identity, and allow you to express yourself in some way. And those protocols, for the most part, work well for people in rich countries, and they don't work so well for people who aren't in rich countries. And so the point of what we do, or at least what I do and what my company does, is we think a lot about how do we build a universal protocol that does all the stuff the legacy system has, but just does it better, faster, and cheaper for everybody in the world. And everybody has equal access to it. You know, so it's the people's protocol. You know, you have a situation where the guy in Senegal has the same access that I do, or Bill Gates does, or someone else who's kind of higher on the spectrum of wealth and power. And so that is what we seek to achieve. But then the question is, well, is Cardano the solution? You know, is that thing? And the answer is no, because you need a lot more evolution. You need decades of evolution to kind of work your way there. And in many ways, the work is never quite done, but it's better than what came before. Why? Because you have a realization that, first, the control of the system needs to be more balanced and nuanced, and it needs to be more democratic. So there's this sustainability component of, like, who's in charge and how do you pay for things? Well, the system can print its own money, so it always has the ability to have a budget. Okay, so there's a treasury idea. And then there's a voting thing. Well, the same things that allow you to move money around allow you to represent votes. So you can do e-voting with the type of system. Okay. And, you know, if you played Nomic in the 1980s or Peter Superfan or any of these things, you can build a self-evolving system. You can actually create a game where the rules can be voted on and changed in the game itself. Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. So that exists there. And then you say, okay, well, but this thing still has to touch the legacy world. There has to be cash in and cash out and these types of things. So there's this interoperability thing. You need a Wi-Fi or a Bluetooth moment for the industry, because nothing understands each other right now. There are all these chains are blind, deaf, and dumb to each other. And then there's this thing that it has to work at a huge scale, like billions of people. And we've done that, but we've done that with large multinational trillion-dollar companies with centralized infrastructure. We've never really done that with one master protocol that somehow does it for everyone. The closest approximation is probably BitTorrent. And it's a cool protocol, but it doesn't have all the oomph necessary to do something like this. So Cardano is just our first approximation. And like any good system, we wanted it to be self-evolving. So once you get the philosophy out of where's the target of what do you want to do, then you build a community. Now it's over 1 million people strong, and that community keeps growing, and they keep pushing the system in that particular direction. And what's nice about it is if you build the right philosophy within the system, it doesn't need founders. This is the great lesson of Satoshi. It doesn't need founders to be able to get there. So, you know, if you look at the academic side, that's very decentralized. We have more than 30 different contributors for the 105 papers, and that set keeps growing. Within the next 5 years, it'll probably be 200, 300, 400 different scientists from all across the world, some from Russia and some from India, some from China and some from Japan and America and Africa and South America. And the faces change, the languages change, the cultures change, but the process stays the same. And that is a permanent organ within what we have constructed as a system. And it's the same situation entering marketplaces. Like we entered Ethiopia. What are we doing there? We have 5 million people in Ethiopia. We're getting them digital identity, and we're dragging that digital identity into the system, because that's the most fundamental thing of a financial operating system. You need to know who people are in order to be able to do business with them, give them credit, be able to give them economic agency and sort of thing. But once they're there, they're going to grow up with that system. They're going to deploy applications on that system. They're going to build on that system. They're going to use it every day for getting a loan or payments and so forth. And if they have pain points, what they're going to do is evolve that system to be able to mitigate and manage those particular pain points to a point where the system is competitive for it. So my job is to be, we have this tagline in our company, cascading disruption. My job is to be the first domino. Just kind of knock it over and watch the cascade. And it kind of blows and blows and blows out until eventually, it gets to where we need to go. And what I was trying to think about with Cardano was, how do you build the minimum viable set of tools and social processes that once we push the domino, the system will just evolve to a point where eventually it can grow to fill that need, not out of charity, but out of self-interest. Right. People want things better, faster, cheaper. People want to have economic agency, especially when they lack it. Nobody wants to grow up in a world where they're unbanked and they have no access to marketplaces. They're going to seek it. Look at M-Pesa. It's the great example of that. Like cell phone minutes, they're using it as a currency. So that's where we're at. And I say a few more years, I think we'll have that right minimum viable set of dynamics inside the system. And then it's inevitable, in my view, that it'll kind of grow and consume and become this concept. And what's really cool is there's competition in the systems and concepts. So China is trying to do the same thing. They're saying, how do we de-dollarize the world and create a digital yuan? So they have a very top-down notion of how to apply this technology and bring it in. And they even have an identity system they're building in parallel called social credit. We have an identity system, Atala Prism, that we're putting in. Ours is bottom up, and you own your own identity, social credit. You have no idea. You just have a number, and some computer's giving it to you. But they're both trying to do the exact same thing. And it's going to be this clash of cultures at some point between the open fosses and the top-down authoritarian fosses, and probably some Hegelian dialectic action will happen. And we'll create, some sort of somewhat closed, somewhat authoritarian, libertarian utopia.
Yeah, no, most likely.
I'm just going to leave that there. I don't even think I need to say anything following that. So I won't. Let's look at a little bit of things that are going on with Cardano. There's a lot going on. Of course, we spoke about Midnight the other day. You've got things like Marlow. You've got lots going on. Please go and check out Intersect and, of course, GitHub for some more of a technical scope on progress. We can see that Cardano flips Polkadot and Kusama to reign the #1 spot. Notable development activity among crypto assets. Cardano is nothing short of killing it. In terms of transactions and payments, we're seeing a little bit of an uptick recently, certainly in terms of wallets. And then, of course, this was interesting. Cardano was actually on the 5th of October featured on CNBC. And then again, I just want to give another shout out to my stake pool and the delegators, and we'll get in discords and things like that sorted eventually, certainly when voting becomes more and more of a thing and as the SIPs pass. That's really all I've got for you guys. I'm wishing you all a triumphant Tuesday. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Have a great one, guys. Don't forget to follow me on socials. Go and check out allincrypto.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next.